School staff noticed the weapon and informed the school resource officer, who contacted the student, located the weapon, unloaded it, and then placed the student under arrest. The student now facing multiple charges related to weapons possession. The city of Elgin is touting Healthish on the Promenade. It's taking place on Saturday at 12 noon. You can join them for a free interactive fitness class at the Elgin Promenade featuring Zumba and the power of kickboxing. The Elgin Police Department is reminding residents regarding noise ordinances in the city, specifically those related to music from vehicles, sound amplification on residential properties, landscape power equipment, and barking dogs. Read more on the City of Elgin social media. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Credan.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with the 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Welcome to the brand new Avid Hotel, Wisconsin Dells Lake Delton, where the essentials are done right every time, all while in the water park capital of the world. Make a splash at Noah's Ark, America's largest water park, or at the Land of Natura, Wisconsin Dells Natural Water Park experience. Family fun at Knucklehead's Trampoline Park, and enjoy train-delivered food at Buffalo Phil's Pizza and Grill. Start your day with our free all-around breakfast featuring rotating hot items and freshly ground premium coffee right here in the lobby. And a 24/7 fitness center. The new Avid Hotel, 1273 Kalahari Drive, Wisconsin Dells. Call us at 608-404-7600 to book your next getaway. 608-404-7600. Once again, that's 608-404-7600.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. Baseball today, the Cubs are home against the Yankees. 121st pitch at Wrigley. Jordan Wicks faces Luis Gill. The Cubs chasing a wild card in the National League. The Yankees battling Baltimore for the AL East crown. Chicago has wins in 7 of their last 10. They're 4 games out of a wild card in the NL. New York looking to snap a 2-game losing skid. They're a half game behind the Orioles in the division race. The White Sox visit the Red Sox tonight. Boston's wild card chances fading. They've lost 5 straight and sit 5.5 games out of the 3rd and last wild card in the American League. The Bears open up the season at Soldier Field this Sunday when they take on the Titans. Roster move on Thursday. Dante Pettis has been released with an injury settlement. College football tomorrow night. Big test for Illinois at home when they battle number 19 Kansas. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Get big deals for days at Target's long weekend sale.
Let's go.
Like 20% off denim, tees, dresses, and shoes for the family. Then round out your barbecue with Doritos and Ruffles party-sized chips. They're on sale 2 for $7. Or get 30% off 12 packs of soda when you buy 3 with Target Circle. And save even more. Find new lower prices on many grocery and household items you love today and every day. Target's long weekend sale ends Monday. Restrictions apply.
I love it.
Doors take us to summers away or winter adventures and afternoon getaways. Your dedicated Fidelity advisor can help you open those doors by working with you on a comprehensive plan to help you reach your wealth's full potential. Because doors were meant to be opened. Visit fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimum supply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
Hey there, this is Marky B from The First Shift, inviting you to join Brian Anderson for his new radio show, Kane County Speaks, every Thursday from 9 until 10 a.m. during the final hour of my morning show. It's an election year, and Brian will discuss important local issues and interview local candidates from the perspective of Kane County Speaks. The show will feature open phone lines for your thoughts, comments, and questions, and the chat room will be open at WRMN Radio on YouTube. Kane County Speaks is citizen-driven and focused on making Kane County a better place to live and work with goals of freedom, security, and prosperity for all. To learn more about their grassroots organization, you can check them out at KaneCountySpeaks.com. Let's discuss the issues of Kane County so that you can get involved and make a difference too. It's Kane County Speaks every Thursday morning with Brian Anderson from 9 until 10 a.m. during the first shift right here on WRMN, AM 1410, and at WRMN Radio on YouTube.
And welcome to WRMN. It is a political talk show right here on 1410. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. I'll be taking you through the next 2 hours of a political talk show. This is, of course, Free Speech Friday. Get in where you can, whether that is the YouTube chat, youtube.com/@WRMN radio, or jump into the phone lines 847-931-1410, or you can hop in on the text line. That's the Image 360 text line that you can hop in over there. It's 505-926-1410, but we'd love to hear your voice, so go ahead and hop into the phone line. That is 847-931-1410, 847-931-1410. It is Free Speech Friday. What would you like to talk about? What have you heard out in the news? Is there a piece of legislation that you'd like to bring up? Is there a neighborhood issue here in the Fox River Valley that you would like to discuss? Go ahead and jump in with us. And by us, I mean me, Dennis Sonar Green, and also the esteemed executive producer of a political talk show. That would be Ben Demonium Boquest.
Hey, yes. Happy Free Speech Friday.
Thanks for being
everybody. Yes, awesome, yes. And first initiative of my free speech, the will of my free speech, come and talk about what we're doing tomorrow. First Responders Fest. WRMN's very own event that we're putting on at Panton Mill Park.
Absolutely. Down there in South Elgin. Starts out early with the classic car early birds. They're going to start to line up with the along Rapid Run.
Okay.
Because at 10 o'clock, Rapid Response 5K and Fun Run begins.
That's when it begins. Okay.
Right, cool. There is where it goes. There'll be some announcements rounding up the rapid response runners at about 9:45, but then they will have the rapid response 5K and fun run will go ahead and begin at 11. But you got to finish that fun run before, it'll begin at 10 because you got to finish that fun run before 11 where the opening announcements will jump in. That's where the color guard and the national anthem will be played along with announcing the winners of the rapid response 5K. So,
nice. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah. So if you got to finish the 5K before 11, to be part of it, to at least probably be the winner. I'm sure the first people are already there at the stage waiting. That's not the finish line,
right?
but that's where you'll go after the finish line. But it's also a fun run. So run as much as you'd like, because a lot of it is putting up that awareness of everything. Like putting a physical memory with something that's visual and audible and taste and everything else, but putting that that little bit of sweat into it puts that memory in there. And you got to think about all of our rapid response people who have to run into danger and have to carry people through all kinds of different things, that physical aspect of it.
That's what the 5K represents.
That's at least what it represents for
AFR.
me. But absolutely, America's First Responders Fest over in Panton Mill Park. But do not fret, live music kicks off right at 11:15.
Nice.
Deacon Frost, the first band coming right out of the gate, will play all the way up until the very first presentation, which will be a veterans tribute at noon. And of course, American Legion Post Commander Mark Smith will be the one giving that veteran tribute. He has a special guest as well. And we'll also hear from True Patriots Care and Operation Sweet Life. Then music right back again. Deacon Frost hopping in on the stage with another presentation. Live music again at 1:15. Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones. I hear about them all over the Fox River Valley, and I cannot wait to see them in person. To the fact they're so good and so well known that after the presentation at 2 o'clock, we will then have an encore of Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones, which I think is going to be also phenomenal. And we'll wrap it up. Or actually, no, we've got another live music performer, Jimmy Nick, at 3:30. And then Junkyard Groove will wrap it up at 5:30. Final announcements are at 7 in home to enjoy the evening and reflect on America's first responders.
That's the whole day.
That's it.
There's going to be face painting, I hear, and a puppy segment. So you
There'll
go
be a beer tent or truck.
Oh, yes.
There's like 4 or 5 different food trucks that are over there. The team is already out there setting up all the decorations, all the tents, everything
tasting
like
the
that.
beer and food. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't something that like we show up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and set up and go. This is something that is an all-day event to the point where we have to set up tonight. I believe they are also bringing the WRMN fire truck. Is going to be there.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. America's First Responders Fest in South Elgin over at Panton Mill Park. Be there or be square because you're going to be missing a bunch of entertainment and also a bunch of people that are being recognized for their heroicness and all of the things that they volunteer for.
That's the coolest thing about this festival, the AFR Fest. It's pretty unique. I don't know another place that does this, and it would be cool to see it recreated and be popular.
Yeah,
across every community, because it's one of those things that I worked with someone once at a pizza place who was saved by the paramedics one time, and they just would always send free pizzas like every weekend or something like that. Send a couple pizzas down to the firehouse. To give a thanks, and a lot of people just go on about their business, or I guess don't have the pizzas to borrow out. But this is a way to do that. So
give back. Most of the proceeds, if not all of the proceeds, go right back to the festival. So it goes to there. It goes to helping the community recognize a lot of these people. And what I like about the schedule aspect of it is, in between the live music, while everybody's setting up, they're usually like just playing music or whatever. You're kind of all just sitting around waiting for the next band to show up. In between the live music is going to be all of that representation and those recognition and all of that. So you get to actually see some of these veterans and some of these first responders. And the way that we present the first responder aspect of it is learn CPR, learn how to administer Narcan, because now you're a first responder. So there'll be a lot of different tents out there on how to just prepare yourself in case there is an emergency. There are some times you may end up being the first person on scene because of it.
Right.
And you want to do more than just sit on the phone with the paramedics. You want to be there to help whoever is in need. It's like Mr. Rogers said, when something is going down or something bad is happening, go and find the helpers, the people who are helping. This is, of course, Free Speech Friday. We want to make sure we've got enough time to get everything in for you. Jump in on the text line with a flyer of something you would like to talk about. Is there a link to an article you'd like? Go ahead and text it over to the Image 360 text line, 505-926-1410. You can find more about Image 360 at image360.com/South-Elgin, and you'll go to the local South Elgin one that's over on Sundown Road if you want to go see you there. They do door lamination as well. Like if you've got a door that wants to look so now in the new place into the study, I'm thinking about putting a hidden bookshelf type of thing.
Nice.
So in the meantime, what I'm thinking, just so that I can kind of see what it would look like, is I'm thinking about taking the door over to Image 360 and getting a bookshelf printed onto the door.
Nice.
And then that way I can kind of like see how it would feel if this was a bookshelf type of thing. I think it would be neat.
I think that in itself is funny enough just to keep that laminated bookshelf. Yeah, it's my bookshelf, do a secret door bookshelf.
Exactly. That way if I open the door and it's up against the hallway, it just looks like a bookshelf.
There you go. That too.
It's there.
Yeah, I want to get what the room looks like on the inside, you know, like at perspective on the outside. So.
Oh, yeah. That would be pretty funny too. Because if you took a picture from like the hallway and like it is how it would look if you were looking down the hallway.
Exactly. Yeah, just Bugs Bunny style or Wile E. Coyote.
Oh, that would be fun. And they go over and they'll do consultations. They will come over to your place and brainstorm with you. There may be an idea that you don't know could happen, and they've got something there, like some of those textured signs that are there, kind of like how we've got the WRMN glowing sign here, where it could be mounted instead of up. There's also the laminates, like the one I've got behind me. Oh, am I talking about visual aids? Well, go on the YouTube side of it, youtube.com/@WRMN Radio. Yeah, they've helped us out with these stickers, all kinds of great things over at Image 360. So this is, again, like I said, Free Speech Friday. If you'd like to text on that line, the Image 360 line, 505-926-1410, 505-926-1410, or give us a call, 847-931-1410. So one of the things that I want to kind of just jump through in our headlines today is there is a rumor out, or at least Melania Trump is teasing that she may come out with a memoir. She says, quote, "I feel a responsibility to clarify the facts." There's been a couple people that have spoken for her. Like she's had a few assistants that have come out and written books and things like that. So I think it would be good for her to actually put that out there too.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like at this point in humanity, it's almost like everybody's gonna write a book, you know, in a weird way. There's a lot of book writing, and that is an important point for it to be an actual autobiography. So at least if you can, as much as you can believe, at least, you know, with the ghostwriting and editing, editorial process, like how much actually is, you know.
I think I'd like to hear a podcast from her. I think she should just do that.
I would just like to go on the record to say that I would not like to either read the book or hear her podcast. So, but you know, up to her. If she wants to do it, go for it.
It's true. In a video, she stated, "I feel a responsibility to clarify the facts due to public scrutiny." She emphasized the importance of sharing, quote, "my perspective, the truth," in her upcoming book. So you can read more about it on Political Wire. They've got a high factuality and centered. If you'd like to go there, the title of that is Melania Trump says memoir will, quote, clarify facts, is the title for that one. Political Wire is independent. Goddard Media LLC.
What was the shirt that she wore? I don't really care to you or whatever.
Oh, really? That was
shirt
her?
that she had. Yeah, it was like a big thing that she had that shirt.
If you're looking for a little bit of left flavor, of course, that's the Daily Beast, or you counter it for the Little Red with the Daily Wire. Same kind of concept. Really depends. It's one of those good topics that you kind of want to kind of get a little bias on either side, just to see what they do. Because I mean, what other fact other than she teased the memoir out, like, is out there? So this is what I do with it. Since it's such a simple fact that is provable, it's objective, it's just a, hey, I'm doing a thing. I like to use it as a litmus test for bias for things. Because if all it is they're only talking about she did this and said it out, okay, let's go. It's more of a centered type of side. If they're leaning into it of like, oh, Trump's so bad and that's why she's writing this thing to just help him with the stuff, then it obviously is a left-handed side of it, where you turn around and the right side of it from the Daily Beast or the Washington Journal would then turn around and kind of play it up of like, oh, this reputable White House type of, you know what I mean? So I use it kind of as a litmus test because it's a simple fact that they're going to embellish if they are biased. They'll use it as a crudgel.
Yeah, you're still talking in the context of Melania.
Yeah, Melania Trump. So Melania Trump said, I'm releasing a memoir to clarify facts. That's the fact. That's the story, right? The story is the headline. So if you want to test your bias for your sources, you then turn around and see how they are embellishing on either side.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talk about that.
Yeah. So that way you can actually see it from there.
Yeah, for me, it's it's just par for the course as far as first ladies. What first lady you know doesn't have a book out there?
Yeah,
I mean, so is what it is. I'm sure it will differ a little, or maybe not differ at all. It'll be just exactly like Michelle Obama's, like word for word.
Oh yeah, like
that speech.
The speech, and even then, I don't think the speech was too verbatim, but it was real close. It's like if somebody,
it's like the RC version.
Yeah, it's like if somebody was like, "Hey, here's the homework, but put it in your own words so that we don't get in trouble." Speaking of put it in your own words so you don't get in trouble, we've got two different Cheneys that are coming through, and this is part of where I don't like our current politics with it. This is the headline: former Vice President Dick Cheney will vote for Harris. His daughter Liz Cheney says. It's like, well, why didn't he say that? Like why do we have to hear it from a second-handed person? Yes, it is his daughter, but at the same time, like, are you just not going to turn around and say it? Now we all have to live in speculation land.
Well, Cheney's just old, I think, is what it is.
Oh, okay. Well, you think he's trying to get to it? He's still around. Like, he's not Jimmy Carter holding on just to vote.
Why didn't Cheney ever run for president?
I don't know.
Did you see that documentary yet with Christian Bale? It's so good. I just want to give that a shout out.
Of why Dick Cheney didn't run for president?
I mean, that's covered in it's just a Dick Cheney documentary with Christian Bale as the guy.
Okay.
As Dick Cheney. Yeah, it's a good movie. Check it out.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
I believe it's called Dick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't they have another one with Nixon as well? That was that same.
Yeah, you're right.
Side.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find somebody centered to report on this.
Maybe it was just Cheney.
Huge blind spot, by the way. 65% reported on the left, 30% on the center, and a whopping 5% of right publications are putting it in. Over 20 articles about it as well. Let's see here. Political Wire, I just got done praising them. So, Dick Cheney will vote for Kamala Harris is the headline. Former Representative Liz Cheney said that her father, former Vice President Dick Cheney, will be voting for Kamala Harris in the presidential race. This is reported from MSNBC. And this is, okay, this is why Political Wire comes in centered and non-biased. That was the report.
Yeah, the whole thing.
That was the whole thing. I just read the entire thing. Yeah. So if you don't say anything, then obviously you're not there. So okay, well, that's the title. But I wanted to expand it just a little bit. Do you remember a report that came out just a few days ago? It's definitely within the last 3 weeks, where more than 200 Republicans who previously worked for either former President George W. Bush or late Senator John McCain or Senator Mitt Romney endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for president in an open letter obtained exclusively by USA Today.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot more of that.
The letter from the alums of the 3 Republican presidential nominees prior to former President Donald Trump comes on the heels of the DNC in Chicago that showcased Republican detractors of the GOP nominee. At least 5 former aides to former President George H.W. Bush also signed the letter, which has 238 signatures overall. A similar group of about 150 former staffers of Bush, McCain, Romney pledged support for President Joe Biden in the 2020 election. So it's gone up for that. So it starts with, let's see here. We reunite today, joined by new George H.W. Bush alumni. Oh, this is from the 2020 side of it. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Reinforce our 2020 statements and, for the first time, jointly declare that we're voting for Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz this November. The letter reads, quote, of course, we have plenty of honest ideological disagreements with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz. That's to be expected. The alternative, however, is simply unattainable. Untenable. Is a way different word.
Can't ten it, yeah.
Can't do it. Among those who signed the letter in support of Harris and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, include former McCain Chiefs of Staff Mark Saltler and Chris Koch, Joe Donahue, former legislative director for McCain, Jennifer Lux, press secretary for McCain's 2008 campaign, and Gene Becker, longtime chief of staff of W. Bush.
Well, bringing up the admin again, the movie was called Vice.
Yeah.
Starring Christian Bale as Dick Cheney, who's 83 years old now.
Dick Cheney is?
He's younger than Biden, or about that age.
About that age there, yeah.
So just, I guess, thank our lucky stars.
Yeah, that he's not running again.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe next time.
I don't know. They've changed the precedent for it. So,
but voting for, he's came out and both Cheneys are in the beehive now.
That's what it seems like. Wow. Now, I don't think they're going to go past this one round. 4 years from now, we've got a whole different.
Yeah. Well, who was it?
Different game.
Did you say the McCains said they had voted against Trump before as well? Or somebody else.
Maybe. I know Romney has said something along those lines. And this is where, like I get the endorsement and stuff, but there are full-throated, like, I'm voting this way. Like it's one thing to endorse and you assume that they're going to vote, but they are straight up saying, yes, we're going to go, which is where we're going to go, which is to break here on a political talk show. Call in 847-931-1410 if you'd like to get in, or 505-926-1410. We will see you on the other side.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. The Elgin Police Department is reminding residents regarding noise ordinances in the city, specifically those related to music from vehicles, sound amplification on residential properties, landscape power equipment, and barking dogs. Read more on the City of Elgin social media. An Elgin High School student was arrested on Thursday for taking a weapon with them to school. School staff noticed the weapon and informed the school resource officer, who contacted the student, located the weapon, unloaded it, and then placed the student under arrest. The student now facing multiple charges related to weapons possession. The City of Elgin is touting Healthish on the Promenade. It's taking place on Saturday at 12 noon. You can join them for a free interactive fitness class at the Elgin Promenade featuring Zumba and the power of kickboxing. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with the 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzy. The City of Elgin is touting Healthish on the Promenade. It's taking place on Saturday at 12 noon. You can join them for a free interactive fitness class at the Elgin Promenade featuring Zumba and the power of kickboxing. The Elgin Police Department is reminding residents regarding noise ordinances in the city, specifically those related to music from vehicles, sound amplification on residential properties, landscape power equipment, and barking dogs. Read more on the City of Elgin social media. An Elgin High School student was arrested on Thursday for taking a weapon with them to school. School staff noticed the weapon and informed the school resource officer, who contacted the student, located the weapon, unloaded it, and then placed the student under arrest. The student now facing multiple charges related to weapons possession. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with the 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Welcome back to a political talk show right here on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410. AM and WRMN1410.com. Go ahead and like and subscribe on all of those buttons that are all around, and just click happy. Just click all over the place. Lots of things to discover and be a part of, including the new weekday lineup. Soon to have the new weekend lineup right after this First Responders Fest, America's First Responders Fest, over at Panton Mill Park in South Elgin.
We got brand new shows, brand new times for our sports shows, brand new everything.
Shaking it up right brand here at WRMN.
Political talk shows, brand new every day. We do one.
We've got a couple other shows. One I think that wants to be political. We'll see. There's another few that we've got in the hopper. I think, we've got a few other things floating in the mix. We'd love to hear from you. You listener, what kind of station do you want? What kind of things do you want us to go after? We do have about 20 minutes until, what's the opposite of liftoff? Is it crash landing? Is it re-entering the atmosphere? Re-entry, I guess, is what we're going on. Getting at the Starliner. Boeing Starliner spacecraft will begin its voyage home later today without the two astronauts it delivered to the International Space Station. News Nation's Javier Walton reports.
3 months ago, it was full of excitement. Even after years of delays, Boeing was ready to put two astronauts, Sonny and Butch, up on the ISS. Then, once the Starliner actually docked, that's when the problems really did start. Unfortunately, piling up for that cruise. Hopefully, around 6 p.m., this is going to change when it starts coming back down to Earth.
That's 6 p.m. Eastern. The Starliner craft was plagued with thruster issues and helium loss. The plan is to bring the astronauts Butch and Sonny home in February aboard the SpaceX craft. For more is the executive producer extraordinaire, Ben Demonian Boquist.
There's not really much more to say about the whole
I'm sorry, I stole your thunder.
Yeah.
News Nation knocking it out.
I had that all right here too. I could have, but no, that's fine. I'm joking.
It was there.
Basically, when we talked with, was it Nancy?
Nancy Liu, yes.
Yes, when we talked with her about the situation, she was. It was still up in the air whether or not Tesla was gonna, or SpaceX, not Tesla. Excuse me on that.
Just X in general.
Yeah. Twitter. They were not getting tweeted back to space. They weren't sure, or back from space. So now it is. They have a date on it, February. So still have to look up how much time in space is the most amount of time in space for an astronaut. I'm sure they're
pushing it.
Yeah, it was. I saw somewhere that they're definitely up there longer, a lot longer than the normal trip. So you'd think just they're doing exercises with resistance and stuff like that. That's where my brain goes. That these guys are up there, and it's unfortunate that this happened. But it's part of the saga coming to a close. Is the Starliner's coming back to Earth at the top of this hour? They'll start that process,
which would be neat.
And yeah, hopefully it's just a voyage home. But if there is any type of thing that goes wrong, that's why they're taking the utmost caution. Precautions and not sending them back on it.
Don't say voyage back home, because I mean, if anybody's watched Star Trek, it took almost 80 years from the Delta Quadrant.
In the series Voyager, but if you're talking about just like regular
in orbit,
just talking about Enterprise, the Enterprise.
They zipped around all day.
Voyages back on. What do you think Star Trek 3 was? Right?
Oh, that's true. Russian cosmonaut Valery Poyakov spent 437 days and 18 hours on the Mir space station between 94 and 95. Then so that's the longest stay. Longest cumulative is Peggy Whitson holds the NASA record for cumulative time in space, 655 days.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the cumulative side.
Yeah, must have definitely been doing some space calisthenics.
Oh my goodness, right? So we want them to come back home safely, and it's weird that they didn't get the issues until they connected with the International Space Station. It's kind of like the first thought that came to my mind was when like you're trying to charge your phone on somebody's computer, and it's like or do you remember back in the day when you tried to charge your iPod on somebody who had iTunes, and as soon as you plugged it in, it started syncing and auto pairing and all that. So
My BNL.
So that was the first thing I could think of when they said they didn't have any problems until they connected. And then all the problems came in is an update. Did they also get the Windows update that crashed everything?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that it was like Android charger and an iPhone.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh yeah. You got the converter.
This is a FireWire.
Everybody uses what is it? Everybody uses Type C now for the most part. I think we've all landed on Type C because you can push a good 100 watts going on for that too.
There were talks that was going to be universal and kind of like made into a, if not a law, just like an actual agreed upon standard that everything was going to be USB-C. But you're always seeing stuff, so. Who knows?
Hey, let's get into the election just a little bit. North Carolina is definitely something that's up there. We did also just get word that I believe Michigan court orders Kennedy's name removed from Michigan ballots. They were just like, man, get it off of there. He's suspended. So like Nikki Haley, I think also just suspended. She's not out. She didn't drop out. She just suspended it. Yeah. But Kennedy was having trouble getting his name off of a couple places, including North Carolina. We just got new North Carolina news from News Nation popped in just over this last minute. With less than 2 months to go until the election, both candidates are focusing on the all-important swing states, including North Carolina, where less than 1 percentage point separates the two candidates.
Wow.
News Nation's Robert Sherman has more.
A stark contrast to what we saw just a couple of months here in the exact same state, looking at the exact same polling averages here. A lot of different pathways in order to get to 270 electoral votes. But for former President Trump, the shortest one is hold all the states from 2020, flip Georgia, flip Pennsylvania. That gets you to 270. But if there's a curveball here and something changes in North Carolina, well, that changes the path to victory and makes it more difficult.
Let's see here. He said the stuff. Former President Trump is making his 4th appearance in the state tonight, the only swing state he won in 2020 by just a little bit more than 1%. This is going to come down to, once again, another, let's say, 250,000 people across a bunch of swing states that are going to end up determining this. If you go to 270towin.com, you can see an interactive map of where everything's moved. You can see how 2020 came out. You can see what has changed from 2020 to 24. And you can also see currently what are safe and what are likely, et cetera, et cetera. One of the ones that is likely that has just floated onto the side is Minnesota as well. It's starting to get darker as Walls jumped in to that side of it. Illinois, of course, in the middle of the country, being that dark blue, while everybody else, for the most part, is that red. Although the one congressional district in Nebraska, NE, right? Nebraska, that is looking to be blue. And that may end up being the deciding vote, which is craziness. But it is looking to be that direction. Colorado is coming in as it leans blue. New Mexico is only leaning blue a little bit there, but Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, let's see here, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia are all becoming toss-ups, which is scary that I've seen a map where they come out as 269 Harris, 268 Trump, and then it ends up being a tie, which I do not think any of us want.
Yeah, what do they do in that case?
Nobody wants that.
They leg wrestle?
It's a much more convoluted side of it, but I'll look into it because it's becoming a possibility, which I do not like.
No,
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, that's like I'd rather have it go either way.
Yes.
Than drag out like that.
Current standing of what is safe, likely, and slightly leans. Democrats are coming in at 226. While the Republicans are coming in at 219. So that's what I mean. It's incredibly tight. Let's see here. Winning combinations. Let's see if we've got any of those sitting around. These are the winning or tie combinations based on the electoral map of this page. That would be, of course, the Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, and Wisconsin. That's all coming in from that. There's 20 combinations for the Democrats to win. If the Democrats win Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, they hit 277. Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan. I think most of these have Pennsylvania in there as a way to victory. So a lot of people are kicking themselves for not securing, who is it? It's Shapiro, right? From Pennsylvania. There's a rumor out there that, and I don't like giving telling you it's fact outside of just the rumor that's floating around, that Kamala Harris's team is kicking themselves because they didn't get Shapiro for it, because most of their combinations, over half of their combinations, have Pennsylvania to win. So they would lose a good 10 combinations to the 270.
Yeah.
You
got to take into account the people who are more on the agenda of Walz side, who may or may not be in Pennsylvania. So, I mean, he is from there, which is a big points.
Walz?
No. Shapiro.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's that thought. But, and you know, they're going to have that in literally every election ever. Like, you should have gone this guy instead of Gore, or blah, blah, blah. And it's no J.D. Vance. So,
Benjamin, there are 3 ways of a tie.
Ooh. 3
different ways of the combinations up ahead that there could end up being a tie.
Wow. Then, so yeah, let's hear about that.
It all starts with the Republicans winning Pennsylvania. If the Republicans win Pennsylvania, we are in trouble of having a tie.
Yeah.
So that's really where, and that's where the largest battleground right now is coming in at Pennsylvania. North Carolina, yes, is still good to have, but North Carolina doesn't have all of the. North Carolina comes in at 16 electoral votes, where Pennsylvania comes in 3 more than that. So Pennsylvania is the big dog of all of the toss-ups. And so that's where the majority of Republican combinations are with Pennsylvania, and also the majority of Democrats with Pennsylvania. But the ties all begin with the Republicans hitting Pennsylvania.
Yep. Yeah, you hear so much focus on both sides about the swing states. So, and really, you could say the same for the Democrats. So,
yeah, and especially that swing state that's there.
Yep.
Because even if we go back to our map, Ohio only leans to the right. So I don't think it's in toss-up type of side, but there's a few of them that are leaning that direction. Now, they're like places like New Hampshire, where you would think is a solid blue, is starting to lean, just lean blue. So, but it's only 4. There's only 4 votes on that. to get there. So that's why they're focusing on Pennsylvania. Of all the toss-ups, that's where it is. Georgia and North Carolina are the two that Walz and Harris have been focusing on, while Vance and Trump have been in Pennsylvania for quite a bit.
Cool.
Next one up would be Michigan for it, and the smallest toss-up is Nevada. That's sitting right now. Nevada? I don't know. I've only been there a few times.
Tomato, patata.
And nobody ever just walks around shouting the state like they're a Pokemon.
Oh, they may, though. Those correctors out there.
That's there. We're going to take a quick break before we head out of here. We're going to make sure that everything is ready in the bag for the First Responders Fest, and then make sure that we get Ben Damoni and BoQuest out there in the world for the Hampshire Whippers game tonight.
Yes, yeah, first time we're doing that. I mean, we wouldn't be a real AM radio station if we didn't get out there and promote the high school football.
Let's do it.
Friday Night Lights. It's Friday Night Lights, people.
Available now on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com is the book called DUI Jury Trial, which is the true story of a truck driver in Illinois who was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. Not only was he facing a revocation of his driver's license, but also a lifetime disqualification of his commercial driver's license, which would prevent him from ever driving a semi-truck again. This book includes the backstories of the truck driver, the lawyers that defended his case, and the DUI expert witness who analyzed the case and then testified at trial as to the proper protocol procedures of the field sobriety test, as well as the breathalyzer tests. This nonfiction novel also includes the actual court transcripts from the jury trial, a courtroom showdown in which the final verdict would determine the fate of the defendant's livelihood. The book, DUI Jury Trial, is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Are you frustrated with the way our world is becoming? Do you want to make a difference right here in your own community? Come to the next Elgin Township Republican meeting and be a part of the change you want to see. They are committed to making our community stronger, safer, and more prosperous. Whether it's through grassroots efforts, community service, or local advocacy, your voice matters. Help build a brighter future for Elgin Township. Get involved today. Visit elgingop.org and find out how you can help make a difference. Elgin Township Republicans, your community, your voice, your future. Meetings take place on the fourth Tuesday of every month at the Elgin Township Building, 729 South McLean Boulevard at 6:30 p.m. Hope to see you there. Let's build a better tomorrow together.
Batteries Plus Bulbs is more than batteries and bulbs. It's your repair shop for Apple devices, Samsung Galaxy devices, and more. Located on Randall Road, just south of 20 in Elgin, Batteries Plus Bulbs fills all your battery and light bulb needs in one stop. They have the largest selection of batteries for ATVs, cameras, phones, laptops, scooters, cars and homes, and everything else. Looking to save money with energy-efficient LED or holiday lighting? Stop in at Batteries Plus Bulbs in Elgin. Go to batteriesplus.com for special offers.
Summer Lake House offers the ultimate waterfront family dining experience, complete with rustic summer-inspired decor and a menu that highlights simple, handcrafted dishes prepared with locally sourced ingredients. The Wisconsin-inspired Summer Lake House, where you can enjoy a laid-back, family-friendly vibe with delicious modern American cuisine and handcrafted cocktails. Don't just go out to eat, go outside to eat. Summer Lake House on Lake Delton.
Welcome back to WRMN and a political talk show. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. I'll be taking you through the top of the hour here while we await the return of the Starliner capsule that's going to be launching. I think it's going to be pretty neat.
T-minus 5.
I know. So we've also got another kickoff that's happening at 7 p.m. tonight. That would be Hampshire Whippers at home versus Jacobs High School. Go ahead and head over to Hampshire High School, 1600 Big Timber Road in Hampshire. You can hit Big Timber Road right here off of 31 if you're here in Elgin, and then drive right over. I'm starting to get my layout now, man. Is there. The one that gets me is Burlington and Barrington. Those two, just I keep calling one the other of the thing. That's my hang up right now with it.
Yeah, well, Barrington's way further east.
Exactly.
So, but not too much going on that way of things. But I was gonna ask, what was it like growing up for you? High school football games? Was that the thing to do in Ohio?
Yeah, absolutely, in Ohio. Our team had gone to state, I think, or our high school had gone to state. I think the 2 years prior for me going there, and then we only made it to like regionals or so when when I was going. But yes, high school. That's what you did, because we had. In it was St. Mary's, Ohio, and we had I had maybe 100 people in my graduating class, 120 or so, because we had one of those high schools that were so old they were starting to sink into the ground again.
The chalkboards went all the way down to the ground.
Or you go to one of those schools that's like actually like a transformer of like 4 other buildings all like put together. Type of stuff. So that's how we were at it. It was there for a good 100 years before I started going to it. So, but it was all about high school football. We would do it there, or we would go to Wapakoneta, or we would go to New Bremen as well. But everybody would travel with the side. I wasn't even in the band, and I would just hang out with the band people for it.
Nice,
catch a ride over there. I was part of the AV side of it, which was really fun.
Yeah, I was just a loner. I think when I was younger than high school, that was the fun time to go and check out the high school
Get
games.
something to eat. You walk around for a little bit. So go ahead and head over to the varsity football game. That is Hampshire Whippers versus Jacob High School. Hampshire High School. Kickoff is at 7. WRMN will have coverage, I believe, right at 7, if not slightly before that.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be great. I'll be staying here in studio to make sure that it all connects over. But you're on your way out there to go set up and go see Sports Director Mac.
Yes,
right there.
Yep. Yeah, right at the same time as the Starliner is returning to Earth peacefully in a non-crashy manner.
That's true. Yes. I don't think there's going to be anybody in it. I think they're kind of just
100% there won't be anybody.
Promote it.
Yeah, 100%.
So honestly, I think they're waiting for it to just burn up so that they don't have to solve nothing.
That might be, yeah. Is that how you fix most things?
Yeah, you just burn it. Well, that's how you get rid of old ships, at least. Nobody is tearing apart old ships. They just sink them.
Not the Titanic. They just found a statue on the Titanic.
Get out of town.
Yeah, they did.
I'm going to have to look that up now. A Political Talk Show Free Speech Friday continues right after the top of the hour news. That's right. A Political Talk Show is what you're listening to on WRMN1410.com and WRMN 1410 AM. We'll be right back.
If you are 50 years and older, you are welcome to join Elgin State Bank's sponsored movie days at Elgin Marcus Theater. It will always be on the second Thursday of each month. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. At 9 a.m., you will hear a very brief message from Sherry Aschenbrenner about upcoming senior events, and movies will begin at approximately 9:30 a.m. Coffee and a donut is complimentary. You can always call the movie theater hotline number of 847-888-7976 to find out what movies are playing each month. The cost is $3 if you are a member of Elgin State Bank, meaning you have an account there, and $5 if you are a non-member. And for more senior information, catch Sherry's Senior Showcase on the third Tuesday of every month at 9:15 a.m. right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN, AM 1410, Elgin time, 5 o'clock.
With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. The Elgin Police Department is reminding residents regarding noise ordinances in the city, specifically those related to music from vehicles, sound amplification on residential properties, landscape power equipment, and barking dogs. Read more on the City of Elgin social media. An Elgin High School student was arrested on Thursday for taking a weapon with them to school. School staff noticed the weapon and informed the school resource officer, who contacted the student, located the weapon, unloaded it, and then placed the student under arrest. The student now facing multiple charges related to weapons possession. The City of Elgin is touting Healthish on the Promenade. It's taking place on Saturday at 12 noon. You can join them for a free interactive fitness class at the Elgin Promenade featuring Zumba and the power of kickboxing. With your 1410 WRMN Newsflash, I'm Sean Kernan.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with the 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
B-Lux Bar and Grill, Wisconsin Dells, is the quintessential American grill and bar, with refined rustic cuisine and award-winning libations. Their honest, feel-good food menu is complemented by a beer list to satisfy every taste. Classic cocktails and our signature shakes, rich and creamy with a splash of boozy goodness just to shake things up a little bit. B-Lux Grill and Bar, classic American cuisine with a contemporary twist.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. College football tomorrow night. Big test for Illinois at home when they battle number 19 Kansas. The Bears open up the season at Soldier Field this Sunday when they take on the Titans. Roster move on Thursday. Dante Pettis has been released with an injury settlement. Baseball today, the Cubs are home against the Yankees. 121st pitch at Wrigley. Jordan Wicks faces Luis Gill. The Cubs chasing a wild card in the National League. The Yankees battling Baltimore for the AL East crown. Chicago has wins in 7 of their last 10. They're 4 games out of a wild card in the NL. New York looking to snap a 2-game losing skid. They're a half game behind the Orioles in the division race. The White Sox visit the Red Sox tonight. Boston's wild card chances fading. They've lost 5 straight and sit 5.5 games out of the 3rd and last wild card in the American League. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Get big deals for days at Target's long weekend sale.
Let's go.
Like 20% off denim, tees, dresses, and shoes for the family. Then round out your barbecue with Doritos and Ruffles party-sized chips. They're on sale 2 for $7. Or get 30% off 12 packs of soda when you buy 3 with Target Circle. And save even more. Find new lower prices on many grocery and household items you love today and every day. Target's long weekend sale ends Monday. Restrictions apply.
I love it.
Doors take us to summers away or winter adventures and afternoon getaways. Your dedicated Fidelity advisor can help you open those doors by working with you on a comprehensive plan to help you reach your wealth's full potential. Because doors were meant to be opened. Visit fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimum supply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE SIPC.
Businesses come in all shapes and sizes. Integrity doesn't. For more than a century, the Better Business Bureau has set the standards for how businesses should operate honestly and ethically. So when you're looking for a business you can trust, check to see who's BBB accredited and who isn't. Always choose the Better Business. Look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. That's why it's the sign of a better business. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org. Finding a reputable business shouldn't require luck or chance. But how can you tell who you can trust? Pro tip, the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better, check with the BBB first because better businesses are honest and commit to high ethical standards bureau. That's why they're better. Always look for the sign of a better business and find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
A recent Gallup poll indicated that 38% of Americans are putting off health care because of financial concerns, the highest ever recorded. I'm Dr. Bob Martin, here to serve you every Sunday afternoon from 1 to 4. Millions of Americans are seeking health advice that will not cost an arm and a leg, so I offer health tips and advice absolutely free. Listen to my show, Sunday afternoons from 1 to 4 right here on WRMN, AM 1410 and 96.7 FM, the voice of the Valley and the home of Radio Shopping Show.
Welcome to A Political Talk Show right here on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com, where you're able to see the YouTube and the other information, including our updated schedule. And also, you can continue to shop on the radio shopping page. You just go ahead and go to WRMN1410.com, and it's right there on the right side, right next to the YouTube, which we are streaming live every time we are in this studio, pumping some magic out into the world. That is at youtube.com/@WRMN Radio. Here at A Political Talk Show, we try to give you an opportunity to speak your mind, and usually at 5 o'clock every day, this is when we do the headlines and phone lines. But because it is Friday, it is Free Speech Friday, so anything you would like to talk about, whether it is political or apolitical, let's go ahead and jump into it. There's a few different ways to get a hold of me. There is that YouTube channel right there in that chat. As you were talking about it before, I'll give it to you again in case you didn't write it down, or in case you're driving, don't watch YouTube videos. YouTube.com/@WRMN Radio. You can find all of that information as well on WRMN Radio or WRMN1410.com. Call me up, 847-931-1410, 931-1410 gets us into the voice line. If you would like a text line, well, of course, we've got one of those for you, brought to you by Image 360. That is 505-926-1410. Go ahead and check out Image 360 at image360.com/south-Elgin, and you'll go and see our very own Image 360 that's just down the road from the studio here at Studio 14 in downtown Elgin. You get all that, you get a part of it. Well, welcome aboard. This is a political talk show where we break down the news and we welcome all different forms of ideas. There are a lot of different areas out there that do the whole political talk side of everything, which is phenomenal. We need more engagement. The better way to get engaged is to actually know what's going on. If you want to know what's going on, you should read and listen and back to that participation side of it. But there's too many places that say you can't be here unless you agree with what we're saying. Otherwise, we're going to beat you up just over principle of us not liking what you've got. There's too many of those stations that are out there. Here at WRMN, we welcome multiple views as long as you come in with a good faith approach and you keep everything as objective on the side. Now, by all means, you can say subjective things. Hey, my gut tells me this, or I don't feel like it like that. That's perfectly fine, but you cannot hold your argument onto a gut feeling. That's like if you asked me something and I always shook a magic 8-ball and just looked at it. I'm not going to answer a real thing. I'm just going to give something that is not even connected to what's going on and then go from there, which is hard. Yes, I do believe that you should be able to trust your gut in certain things, but you should also trust the numbers, because if we can't trust the objective numbers, then my goodness, we have come a lot further than you and I think we have. At WRMN 1410, you can also find more information about America's First Responders Fest. Of course, that's tomorrow. Starting at 11 a.m. to 7 is when the stage is hot. But don't forget to join in the Rapid Response 5K fun run that starts at 10 o'clock. We're going to muster at 9:45 for brief announcements and rounding up the Rapid Response runners. But you will take off at 10. Then at 11, when the opening announcements come out, we will introduce the color guard, play the national anthem, and then announce those winners before we do a brief 9/11 ceremony. That is what the First Responders Fest is all about, is recognizing the first responders that run into action when the whole world is falling down around us. A lot of times we feel a little bit of this Chicken Little type of thing that's happening, especially with the news that we got today. Stocks plunge with the S&P 500 ending its worst week since March 2023. Wall Street ended its worst week in 18 months after a weaker than expected jobs report on Friday stoked investor concerns about the slowing U.S. economic growth. Technology stocks took the brunt of the pain. The NASDAQ composite sank 2.6 as Broadcom, NVIDIA, and other tech companies led the market lower on continued worries that their shares soared too high in the boom around artificial intelligence. There's a couple different things that are going on with this, just as everything's moving through. That the stock market a lot of times is, I want to say, we talk about feelings and subjective things. There are some objective facts that affect subjective feelings. So let me give you the example over there. Do you remember when let's see here. Let's go back to the let's probably do the GameStop side of it. That's one of the most radical things that were out there is they started to manipulate the market not based off of the actual value of GameStop, but the stock was inflated because people were buying it and then riding the wave as it went through it. There's also things where maybe a bad report comes out and then the stock drops down, or maybe somebody says something for it. That's really what happened over this week. There's a lot of turmoil, both with Kamala Harris turning around and saying, well, we want to tax more of the higher income side of the, I think it's the capital gains tax that they want to put together on that. Also, what has been reported is Trump putting the tariff on everything that's coming in too. So 2 bad news hits from the candidates that were going to be the future to begin with. The other thing that was announced is NVIDIA is also under investigation for antitrust, for violating antitrust laws. Then you turn around and say, well, they also just rode the artificial intelligence high, which is now getting some bad raps because what they've done is they've built algorithms that are easy for it. These large language models have to be trained on something. So what they've been training on, and OpenAI has been kind of hit with this, is they've been trained on literature that other people have made, literature, reports, things like that, complete copyright violations, because that thing can spit it back out. It's like if I read an article and then wrote specifically almost that stuff verbatim, but never gave credit to where I found the original source from. That's where another hit for AI got hit. So the stocks are plunging because of our candidates, because of our antitrust type of things, and because of the bad jobs report that was supposed to come out, and also the only thing that's really starting to rile up and start to give us a bit more of a boost in the economy side is the Fed starting to lower interest rates. But as soon as they said they were thinking about doing it, it became a political ploy of like, oh, well, it must be a political ploy. Well, they've been talking about it for a while. If it was going to be a political ploy, they would have dropped it earlier, I would say back in, let's say, July or June, where now you would start to see that uptick of the economy during the October and November months, before maybe the bubble would pop or anything like that. It's a slow moving glacier. It takes a good 3 to 6 months for you to even see any changes on anything. Look at the Infrastructure Act that came out. We're just now starting to see some of those completions for bridges and roads and trains and et cetera, that's out there. So if we're just now starting to see the completions, we're just now starting to see that money filter back into the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. I don't know, what is the fourth side? Anyway, of that money disseminating out. The government pays for a project, the project pays its construction workers then go out, pay it into grocery stores and rent and their bills and everything else. You're starting to see that money finally start to get over. But with a bad jobs report that came out on Friday, this is starting to spur some of these people to turn around and look negatively at the stock market as it goes, because yes, we are in a labor tight market. With having unemployment under 4% for so long, and we're actually capping out at pre-pandemic levels of bodies that want to work. Those usually comes in at about 68% of able bodies that are actually in the workforce. We're now starting to sit at 64, 65% now So we're only a couple percentage points off of the pre-pandemic things. It's odd that before the pandemic we were all pre 9/11, right? That was the other focal point that we all turned around. Now it's pre-pandemic levels. The Dutchman's Wood Shack comes in and says, "Afternoon, everybody." Hops in on that chat over there. If you are looking for something that is really, really good apolitical content, that's the Dutchman's Wood Shack on YouTube. Go ahead and give him a follow and be part of his audience as well. So I'm going to find the center of what we've got going on here. You know what? Forbes is great for that. Forbes has now earned its center bias. It used to be a slightly red bias, but Forbes has achieved what CNN is trying to achieve. Forbes has finally hit that center focus. What's odd about this bias split is there's nobody on the right-hand side of the news that wants to talk about the stock market going down. I know there's only 6 articles. AP, CBS, Bloomberg, Forbes, MarketWatch, and Barron's are the only 6 people or 6 entities that are reporting on it. But surely you would think if this is a Bidenomics type of tie, which a lot of people are trying to tie Kamala Harris with the Bidenomics as well, which rightfully is an absolute a good connection. You can't be the pseudo incumbent and not bear some of the blame with some of these things, good or bad. I like to blame people for good things too, but this is definitely a hit because this is a weaker than expected jobs report as it came through. Dutchman comes in and says, "See you guys tomorrow at the car show." That's right. First Responders Fest has a car show coming through. Hey, everyone come out to America's First Responders Fest car show. JP Cars puts that on as well. And those actually start coming up at about 9:30. The classic car early birds begin to show up. So if you are waiting for something here for the 5K run at 10, they will be a way that you can sit around, meander, see some good stuffs over there. They come in as well. It says, let's see here. Great programming. Hey, thank you very much for the shout out as well. So this is where the Biden administration is really trying to. They've tried for at least the last year or so to get away from the word Bidenomics, and this is why the connotation of that. When it's good, it's all good Bidenomics, or it's good things that we all decided to do. If it's bad, like the stocks that plunged down, it is it's not good. It's a whole nother it's a whole nother aspect, and they try to stay away from everything that's there, which is not something that you necessarily want from people to just be able to pull. You can't turn around and say everything's good because of me, but everything's bad because of him. No, take the whole thing if it's there. So Forbes pops in and says stocks have worsened week over worst week of the year as recession fears re-emerge. That's Forbes.com if you want to check them out over there. Not as encouraging jobs report put the cherry on the top of brutal opening week of September for investors Friday, as stocks stumbled to easily their worst week of an otherwise green 2024. Here's some key facts right from Forbes. Friday morning's monthly unemployment update revealed that the U.S. created 142,000 jobs in August, lower than the 160,000 that the economists anticipated, and that the economy added 86,000 jobs fewer than previously reported in June and July, indicating more weakness in a fragile labor market. Ongoing concerns about the health of the U.S. economy caused stocks to sell off Friday, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average declined 1%, or about 400 points. The S&P 500 fell 1.7%, and the NASDAQ fell my goodness, 2.6%. The 30-company Dow closed the week down 3%. The benchmark S&P ended 4%, and the tech-leaning NASDAQ booked a 6% loss. Those are the Dow's and S&P's steepest respective weekly drops since March 2023, and the NASDAQ's worst week since January of 22. So this is where that turmoil of who's going to be the president, what are the candidates saying that are there? Because there's two big issues that are happening right here. Is the Harris Walls side of everybody is affecting the market in the way that that it is. There's going to be more turmoil or a plan to start squashing some of these capital gains and also some of the housing market. The housing market is where most people keep their retirement in there as well. So, and then you start talking about all the different REITs and ETFs that also use building material and stuff. So she wants to build more houses, but only to cool the market. So you're back to hearing the market say it needs to start coming down a little bit. Then you've got Trump and Vance that are saying that they want to put a tariff on imports for everything. And yes, the NASDAQ, S&P, things like that are American markets, but a lot of those companies have offshore investments, both with bringing in materials for things, possibly a reseller that may be getting things from China to begin with. Also, the American people not having as much money, because when you put a tariff on imports, they usually pass that down to the consumer, where they say, okay, well, if you're going to raise it up by a good, I don't know, even if it's 1 or 2%, they're going to turn around and add that 1 or 2% to their price, and now you're back into this cycle of inflation. So you see where some of the turmoil is going in. Also, the jobs report in general is the economy thrives on people working. It also thrives on people that are moving from job to job as well, because they may be leaving one sector and jumping into another. They may be getting a raise because they moved to a different company, et cetera, et cetera. So having a tight labor market like we've got right now, even with another 3% or so down, which honestly, I think that's where Powell is really waiting with the Fed. I think the Fed is really starting to wait until we get back to that 68% or 67%, maybe even 66% employed, able-bodied employment, to where we're back into having more people into the workforce. We talked about this on Labor Day, about how they need more people in the workforce to keep that unemployment rate that's there. So it's in a turmoil, even to the point where when they started to raise the interest rates for things, it was the Fed that said we have to wait for people to start losing their jobs or the unemployment rate to go higher. Well, the unemployment rate goes higher when you've got more people in the market that want to work but can't find a place that are there. But if you want people to actually work and be a part of what's going on, that's where you need more investment. Well, if the interest rate is up so high, they can't grab more investment, therefore can't get more equipment, more workers, et cetera. And that's where I think us keeping the interest rate so high for so long, and for so high, like historically, it's not that high. I mean, it's just high compared to the last administration, where we were constantly dropping it down, where the president was constantly saying to the Fed to lower, to lower, to lower. So we finally have to start easing that off, but now you're back to the political side of everything. Let's go ahead and go to our comments that have been coming through as well. Call into the show, absolutely, 847-931-1410. I would love to do a show on the environment. I have lots of stuff on that subject, as well as doing some actual things that related to it. Yes, the Wood Shack and the Woodsmen absolutely will go ahead and get a part of that. It's all connected to politics, absolutely. When we're talking about the price of building materials and we're talking about the labor that goes behind it, that's all based off of the economy. It is Free Speech Friday. Go ahead and call in. The words economic recession and economic depression are starting to become intertwined. The numbers won't help. I absolutely agree with you too. You have to go through that recession to get into the depression that's over there too. It was only a bad week. We'll see how it turns around. You're listening to a political talk show right here on WRMN 1410. When we come back, more headlines. Here is the bottom of the hour news.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzi. An Elgin High School student was arrested on Thursday for taking a weapon with them to school. School staff noticed the weapon and informed the school resource officer, who contacted the student, located the weapon, unloaded it, and then placed the student under arrest. The student now facing multiple charges related to weapons possession. The city of Elgin is touting Healthish on the Promenade. It's taking place on Saturday at 12 noon. You can join them for a free interactive fitness class at the Elgin Promenade featuring Zumba and the power of kickboxing. The Elgin Police Department is reminding residents regarding noise ordinances in the city, specifically those related to music from vehicles, sound amplification on residential properties, landscape power equipment, and barking dogs. Read more on the City of Elgin social media. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with the 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan. Brought to you by Sky Rizzi. The city of Elgin is touting Healthish on the Promenade. It's taking place on Saturday at 12 noon. You can join them for a free interactive fitness class at the Elgin Promenade featuring Zumba and the power of kickboxing. The Elgin Police Department is reminding residents regarding noise ordinances in the city, specifically those related to music from vehicles, sound amplification on residential properties, landscape power equipment, and barking dogs. Read more on the City of Elgin social media. An Elgin High School student was arrested on Thursday for taking a weapon with them to school. School staff noticed the weapon and informed the school resource officer, who contacted the student, located the weapon, unloaded it, and then placed the student under arrest. The student now facing multiple charges related to weapons possession. With your 1410 WRMN News Flash, I'm Sean Kernan.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with the 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Welcome back to WRMN. You're listening to a political talk show. You can find more about WRMN at WRMN1410.com. Thanks for listening on WRMN 1410 AM. Go ahead and head over tomorrow over to Panton Mill Park to be part of America's First Responders Fest. That's the place to go. That's the happening place over there, Panton Mill Park on North Water Street in South Elgin. To join into the Rapid Response 5K, you still have to register for the race. You can go to WRMN1410.com/AFRF to find that right there. You can also see it right at the top on the homepage. You just click on AFR Fest to be part of that. Don't forget, there's a bunch of activities that are going on as well. First responder stage tributes. Of course, the classic car show from JP Car Shows. Live broadcast on WRMN 1410. Food and beverage trucks, kids activities, and market-style vendor booths. Why should you attend America's First Responders Fest? Well, the festival promises a full day of learning, fun, and celebration. Not only will you get a chance to honor and interact with our brave first responders, but you'll also enjoy an array of exciting activities and attractions. From a classic car show to live bands, food trucks, and kids' activities, there's something for everyone. Color guard and announcements start at 11 o'clock, but you gotta be there for the Rapid Response 5K run. That muster and that group for the brief announcements will be at 9:45, and then you'll go ahead and take off at 10 sharp. They'll go ahead and make sure that you're back by 11 for the opening announcements. And we're gonna end up having live music in between presentations. So instead of having, you see, a lot of times when they have the festival or something, what they'll end up doing is they'll play music in between the live music. So it'll be live. Hello, how are you? Hi. We got some visitors outside of the station right now on 14 Douglas. Come and see us, wave at us. It's a great time over here. Thanks for listening. It's really neat to see you all. Have fun over at the park. Here at America's First Responders Fest over at Panton Mill Park in South Elgin, there is a, what's great about as I was going is the live music aspect of it. And then in between, while the other bands are setting up, there is memorials. There are recognitions, like all of these different things that are going through in the different ceremonies that are in between the amazing live music. Kicking it off at 11:15 is the first band is Deacon Frost. Then we've got Deacon Frost Part 2 coming in at 12:15. 1:15, Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones jumping into that. And they get another encore at 2:15. Then at 3:30, they introduce Jimmy Nick at 3:30, going all the way until the JP Car Show trophy presentation right there on stage. John Polero makes the trophies and the comments right there. Best in Show cars will be recognized. We'll go ahead and retire the colors and make any final recognitions that we left over from there, to where at 5:30 the Junkyard Groove will take us all the way to the end of the evening. We'll see you there at America's First Responders Fest, brought to you by Fox River Valley's WRMN 1410, with 75 years of radio. Thank you, everybody, for listening to A Political Talk Show right here on WRMN. If you'd like to jump into the conversation, don't forget there's a few different ways to do it. 847-931-1410 is the traditional voice POTS line right there. Don't forget you can also jump into the chat, where we've already had a few comments that are come in, and we've also got a few text lines on the Image 360 text side. One text comes in and says, yes, there is no autonomy like the marketing decisions made from the top. Also, choices are not offered. Absolutely. All of these people manipulating the market just by saying a few things or tweeting a thing or making a decision is, I don't know. It's somebody explain to me how it's not gambling, because that's how I kind of look at it. We've got a couple other things before we end this this show. So we'll talk a little bit about the economy aspect of it and the economy of the Constitution. Well, obviously the Constitution is priceless, but a rare 1787 copy of the U.S. Constitution is up for auction, and it could be worth millions. The document's history between Thompson's signature and 2022 remains unclear. The document was linked to Samuel Johnson, who governed North Carolina from 1787 to 1789 and oversaw the state's ratification of the Constitution. We'll go ahead and pull in one of our favorites, Washington Top News, because they are centered, and this is a great news source where everybody's reporting on it. I mean, there's already 20 sources that are out, but 82% of the centers have come out. The people who really only report on the center side of it, they've all come out to play on this one. A rare copy of the U.S. Constitution went missing for centuries. Now it's being auctioned for millions, is the headline for W Top News. That's Washington Top News. Again, with a centered bias. Go and find more at WTOP.com. This is an article right here from Asheville, North Carolina. Historical document appraiser and collector Seth Collar spreads a broad sheet of paper across the desk. It's good enough condition that he can handle it carefully with clean, bare hands. There are just a few creases and tiny discolorations, even though it's just a few weeks shy of 237 years old, and has spent who knows how long inside a filing cabinet in North Carolina. At the top of the first page are familiar words, but in regular type instead of sweeping Gothic script we're used to seeing. We, the people. And the people will get a chance to bid for this copy of the U.S. Constitution. It is the only of its type throughout, though it may be in private hands, at a sale in Brunk Auctions on September 28th in Asheville, North Carolina. The minimum bid for the auction is $1 million. There is no minimum price that must be reached. So they're going to keep and go for however long it can go. But this copy was printed after the Constitutional Convention approved the proposed framework of the nation's government in 1787. And it was ratified by the Congress of the ineffective first American government under the Articles of Confederation. So we had the Articles of Confederation before we had the Constitutional Convention, which is why they call that ratified Congress was the ineffective first American government, because we hadn't really established a constitution or a government yet. We were still all operating as colonies under the Articles of Confederation. But this one is of about 100 copies printed by the Secretary of that Congress, Charles Thompson. Just 8 are known to still exist, and the other 7 are publicly owned. This is the only one that's private. Thompson likely signed 2 copies for each of the original 13 states, essentially certifying them. They were sent to special ratifying conventions where representatives, all white male, wrangled for months before accepting the structure of the United States government that continues today. This is the point of contention between the government and the people. The preamble, "We the people." This is the moment the government is asking the people to empower them, auctioneer Andrew Brunk said. What happened to the document up for auction between Thompson's signature and 2022 isn't known. 2 years ago, the property was being cleared out in Edenton, Edenton, in eastern North Carolina, that was once owned by Samuel Johnson. He was the governor of North Carolina from 1787 to 1789, and he oversaw the state convention during his last year in office that ratified the Constitution. The copy was found inside a squat 2-drawer metal filing cabinet with a can of stain on top in a long neglected room piled high with old chairs and dusty bookcases before the old Johnson house was preserved. The document was a broad sheet that could be folded one time like a book. It gets calls every week from people who think I get calls every week from people who think they have a Declaration of Independence or a Gettysburg Address, and most of the time it's just a replica. But every so often something gets found, said caller, who appraises, buys, and sells historic documents. Quote, "This is a whole other level of importance," he added. Along with the Constitution on the broadsheet, printed front and back, was a letter from George Washington asking for the ratification. He acknowledged there will have to be compromise, and that rights the states enjoyed will have to be given up for the nation's long-term health. To secure all rights of independent sovereignty to each and yet provide for the interest and safety for all, individuals entering into society must give up a share of liberty to preserve the rest, wrote the man who would become the first U.S. president. Brunk isn't sure what the document might go for because there is still so little compared to it. The last time a copy of the Constitution like this was sold was for $400 in 1891. In 2021, Sotheby's of New York sold one of the 13 remaining copies of the Constitution printed for the Continental Congress and delegates to the Constitutional Convention for $43.2 million, a record for a book or document. But that document was mostly for internal use and debate by the founding fathers. The copy being sold later this month was one meant to be sent to people all around the country to review and decide if that's how they wanted to be governed. Connecting with writers of the Constitution to the people in the United States who would provide its power and legitimacy. If you want to read more about this article, go ahead and go to AP or the Washington Top News. That's W Top News. You can find the headline, "A Rare Copy of the U.S. Constitution Went Missing for Centuries. Now it's being auctioned for millions." When we come back for a political talk show, we're going to continue Free Speech Friday. Go ahead and jump in, 847-931-1410, or the text line, and that would be 505-926-1410. We'll be right back after this.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? Image 360 South Elgin is your ultimate destination for custom signs and visual communication solutions. Looking to rebrand your office interior? Need striking vehicle wraps or decals for your fleet? Or perhaps you're in the market for a standout trade show display? At Image 360 South Elgin, they've got you covered. As your full-service custom sign and graphics partner, they deliver bold solutions and exceptional support. From outdoor signage to eye-catching store signs, indoor graphics to comprehensive branding solutions, they have the experience to elevate your brand's presence. Trust Image 360 to create a long-term partnership that gives your brand 360 degrees of exposure. Visit them at 506 Sundown Road in South Elgin. Image 360 South Elgin. Bold solutions, exceptional support.
America's Best Restaurants travels the country and features restaurants that you should visit each week. Recently, the cast and crew made their way to Renata's German Restaurant in Hanover Park. Renata serves old family recipes and delicious German-influenced food. Renata's also specializes in a wide variety of traditional German baked goods, too. So, if you've yet to visit Renata's, try America's Best Restaurants choice. Drop in soon for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Visit renatasgermanrestaurant.com.
Anderson Japanese Gardens, ranked the highest quality Japanese garden in North America and located right in the heart of Rockford. Their mission is to open minds to a different culture while offering a place of peace and tranquility where one can find healing, renewal, inspiration, and a re-energized soul. A premier destination for corporate functions, special events, weddings, and receptions. For directions, hours, and fees, visit andersongarden.org today.
Take a historic walk through the home of America's greatest showman, Al Ringling. Located in Baraboo, Wisconsin, you can view the grand opulence on a guided tour, now hourly starting 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Weekday tours begin on the veranda and on the weekends in the tap room of the Al Ringling Brewery. Behind the mansion, kick back and try a flight of craft beers and dine at this family-friendly stop. Visit alringlingmansion.com for more information.
Welcome back to a political talk show right here on WRMN 1410 AM and WRMN1410.com. A political talk show is your source for political news with a try to be unbiased approach. I'm one of those people that think you cannot be unbiased 100%, so we try to open up the floor for as many voices as possible, and at least we can attempt the show to be unbiased and welcoming. What are the stipulations? Well, come in with a good faith approach. What does good faith approach mean? There's no reason for the gotchas. There's no reason to jump in and just start tearing down somebody just because straw man arguments or just double think and all of the other stuff. Come in with a good approach, a good faith approach where you want to build and have that respect. That's pretty much it. You jump in with that, you are welcome to say your piece. Of course, everything within FCC regulations. So in the last couple of minutes we've got here, we did just get in a few of these News Nation clips that have been coming in, and we mentioned some of these that are in here, but I want to make sure that we get, again, enough of these voices, enough of these different reports that are out. So News Nation comes in with the jobs report that we were just talking about. The latest jobs report shows that hiring by American employers picked up a bit in August from July, and the unemployment rate dipped from the first time since March. The White House says President Biden was pleased with the report. He is in Ann Arbor, Michigan today to sign a pro-labor executive order. No, not going to play? That's cool. Well, I don't believe that he should necessarily be too happy about that jobs report. It came in under expected and then hit the market. So I don't think he needs to be clapping about that necessarily. Also, what just came in as well, and we kind of hit on it as well, is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. won his bid to have his name removed from North Carolina state ballots, delaying the first mailing of absentee ballots. News Nation's Robert Sherman has more.
These were the ballots that were supposed to be mailed out today. They included his name and they include former President Donald Trump's name. But just today, the state appellate court putting all this on pause here, saying that until they get some kind of a final ruling, if there is an appeal to this ruling that's coming down from the appeals court, that could change course here. But for the time being, ballots are not going to be going out for the purpose of removing RFK Jr.'s name from the ballot.
An appeals court in Michigan has agreed to remove Kennedy from that ballot as well, which, again, that's what he wanted. He wanted his name out there. I'm glad that they are allowing him to do that, even though he is over a bunch of different deadlines. And I'm glad. Let's have a fair election. There's no reason to trick people if they didn't hear that Kennedy was off. There's no reason to pull it. And honestly, I think Kennedy would have pulled more votes from Trump than he pulled from Harris or Biden. Now, maybe from Biden he was pulling some, but I don't think anybody who is voting for Harris would have moved over to a Kennedy side of it for there. So I'm glad that we're moving towards some of that fairness that's in there, and I really appreciate both Michigan and North Carolina kind of bend the rules a little bit in the side of fairness. But as we talked about, I do not want this to come up to be a tie. That is what I am absolutely dreading. There are 3 different ways that this could end up being a tie, and they all start with the Republicans winning Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania is going to be a contentious spot anyway because of the almost 20 electoral college votes that they get out of that. I think that's already going to be a back and forth. It's the largest of the toss-up states. But we'll see. We'll see where it ends up from there. If you want to know more about A Political Talk Show, go ahead and go to your favorite search engine with A Political Talk Show. All of those 4 words right there. If you want to know more about WRMN 1410, then you could just go to WRMN1410.com. I hope to see you tomorrow over at America's First Responders Fest. America's First Responders Fest over at Panton Mill Park in South Elgin. The 5K run kicks off at 10. Be there early to check out the early bird car show that's there. Later on tonight, we've got Hampshire High School football varsity versus Jacobs. Tonight, kickoff starts at 7. Listen to WRMN or watch the YouTube stream for that game. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic weekend, and we hope to see you at America's First Responders Fest. God bless America.